it was touchscreen heavy.
No, the money ran out a good halfway through the game, so you can see where they had to make cuts in order to get it
Which is kind of
to.
thing about it. Function.
Yeah. The sad thing about the game is that it literally like it.
I know it's the touchscreen. It was touchscreen heavy.
Anyway, before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves, starting with the lady first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the BS Busters Midweek Podcast. I am Joy Eli Moonstar, and E3 is nearing its head. Get your shotguns ready.
Yeah, I could use some type of perverted analogy, but I won't. Kanoshi, introduce yourself.
Kanoshi Bonito to hear the say that all aboard the salt train. There will be a much wailing and gnashing of teeth after this E3, I'm sure.
Yea, verily, I most solemnly assure you. Anyway, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner and proprietor of BS Busters, and we are doing our pre-E3 predictions. Now, I know what some people are going to say. Why don't you do it Saturday? E3 doesn't start till Saturday. Technically speaking, E3 started today, the 9th. Technically speaking, E3, with all of the E3 announcements and all that shit, is going to be really long this year. It started today, and it doesn't end until
Thursday.
Technically July, but I'm not gonna include EA because really, EA's shit is gonna be splattered all across everyone else's shit, especially PC and Microsoft shit. So, like, I don't know why they're having a conference for EA. Like, I don't get the point.
I was about to say, sometimes people just want to show off.
Well, I mean,
Though, considering how many channels that they're already on, it's like watching somebody taking over the TV for an hour.
I guess. Anyway, so we're going to cover the E3 announcements from starting this Wednesday, give our predictions all the way up to Tuesday, June 15th, which is Tuesday of next week. So without much ado, let's get into it, starting with today's announcement of Battlefield 2042. They've doubled the amount of players you can have on the field. It used to be 64, and now it's 128. Who says those matches are going to run all that well with 128 players?
Is the boring stuff over already? I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm not a Battlefield fan, so
neither am I. But I will give my honest opinion. Like 128 players in a multiplayer match sounds very ambitious. With the amount of shit going on.
Yeah, it's bad enough to try to get a few players under 10. I mean, as many as under 10 players in one room together. Imagine putting 3 digits in that calculation.
Well, it sounds ambitious. Keyword: sounds ambitious. I don't know if everyone has the online to take part in that. I would not be surprised if there's going to be a lot of 128 matches that people are dropping out of. And if DICE is smart, because I think DICE is making Battlefield 2042, they'll have bots take over from those people who drop out. Maybe, if they're smart. I mean, probably not, but whatever. Kanoshi, you have any thoughts on it?
I am not, like I said, I'm like both of you, I'm not interested in Battlefield, but 128 people on the board, that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If it was any other company but DICE and EA, I'd be like, man, that sounds really awesome. But there hasn't been a DICE game that I've played over the last 2 or 3 generations that I actually gave a shit about. So, I mean, I'm not really. How can I put this? I'm not a quiver. I'm not waiting with bated breath for this game.
Yeah, for me, I consider it a snooze fest.
On a technical level, like I said, I mean, 128 people playing. If they have some well-designed maps that force confrontation, or some well-designed gameplay modes that force people to really play, I really think that if it's handled well and well-designed, it could be awesome for people who like those types of games. But I'm not one of those people, so I am. I'm lukewarm on this. I have a very tepid mind frame towards this game. Anyone else have anything else to say about Battlefield before we keep it moving?
As long as it's not filled with pride and accomplishment for playing the game, I'll be all right.
All right. So I think we'll skip the Summer Game Fest kickoff live because it's basically just going to focus around ideas about E3, like games that a celebration of E3. Which why should we have to celebrate that circle jerk of a of a conference? So,
trade show, guys. It's a trade show. What? That's just a giant commercial.
Here's the thing. I have been to trade shows before, not for not E3, but I've been to like automotive trade shows and bar equipment trade shows and Comic Cons, and all of those. Yeah, Comic Cons are commercial, but they're also there for the fans. E3 is the only fucking trade show I've seen that puts barriers up for fans to come and see that shit. And that's why E3 kind of started falling apart, but in my opinion. But anyway, so I guess we can go to Coke Primetime Conference, which starts at 3 p.m. in the U.S. and on the West Coast at 12 p.m.
Not to be confused with another kind of Coke, mind you.
No, Coke is in Koch, the German spelling of Coke. Whatever. Anyway.
I just had to be clear, just in case somebody made that mistake.
So, there are 3 franchises that Coke has under its Deep Silver label that people have been really thinking about and really were hyped up that would be shown at this year's E3. None of these are going to be talked about. They won't be talking about Saints Row, Dead Island, or Metro. So, the only thing left that they can probably talk about is maybe Shadow Warrior 3, Time Splitter. Oh, no, they're not going to talk about the new Time Splitters they're working on. So, I mean, Deep Silver has published some games that I'm kind of enjoying, or have enjoyed. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, but as far as I'm pretty sure whatever Coke talks about, I'm probably going to be surprised by, because like I said, they have been publishing a lot of really cool shit. What they really could show, if they really want to be surprising, since Coke Media also has THQ Nordic, is if they brought out Darksiders 4. But, who's to say that could happen? Anyone else have anything else to say about it before we move on to the next topic?
So much potential wasted.
Well, I mean, when they said, we won't be showing Saints Row, Dead Island, and Metro, I'm like, well, I never really gave a shit about the Metro series. It felt like a more hardcore Fallout. Dead Island, like I gave up on that game after I played the first game in its expansion. Cause Dead Island, the coolest thing about Dead Island was that fucking trailer that looked so badass, and then the actual
Yeah,
game came out.
Yeah, I was like, man, this game looks interesting. I hope it. I think well, Dying Light was kind of what they wanted for Dead Island, but for whatever reason, that just didn't happen.
Yeah, well, the trailer looked really cool, and then, I mean, basically, you play the actual game and you realize this game is basically Borderlands, except a shittier array of weapons, and I mean, it's basically Zombie U with a wider array of weapons and a focus on melee combat and multiple playable
Yeah.
characters with different strengths and weaknesses. It's very it's very deceptive how they marketed that game versus what it actually was. And that's all I'll say about it. It was very deceptive. You know, it's kind of like how Destiny, when they were hyping it up and announcing it, you were thinking, oh, so this is going to be basically Bungie's take on Star Wars. And then you play it and you realize, oh, this is just a kind of shitty MMO third person shooter. MMO light third person shooter. I mean, it's still better than Halo 4 and 5. I mean, I'm not going to. Because Halo 4 and 5 suck, but. So anyway, let's keep it moving. Guerrilla Collective. Guerrilla Collective is they're the people who brought you Baldur's Gate 3. Which, I mean, if that game wasn't if that game wasn't in early access and $60 for an early access game that's only like the first act, I would say that's cool. But the fact that they're charging $60 for what is essentially 33% of the game, I'm kind of like, not really into it. This is also the publisher that brought you Dwarf Fortress, which I heard that's a really good game. I haven't played it because I don't like playing really hard video games. I know that's a shock for people. They
I was
also
gonna say there's a difference between hard and controller breaker.
Well, I mean, like I have nothing against like normal difficulty, like that game Shadow the Ninja,
Uh-huh.
and that game The Messenger. Those games are hard, but they're fair. Like Dwarf Fortress is a game where you're guaranteed to just until you really get a handle on the gameplay mechanics and the gameplay intricacies and how the interconnectedness of different systems, you are guaranteed to fail multiple times. And I don't like playing games like that.
That's the thing. As I said, there's a difference between hard difficulty and difficulty that will make you break your controller.
Yeah, there's tough but fair, and then there's just frustratingly difficult. And I hate games that are frustratingly difficult. Because life is hard enough. Why the fuck would I want to play a game that's so hard that I can't even really enjoy it?
Only if you're a masochist, and last I checked, you're not one.
No. The next thing is apparently there's a System Shock reboot. Apparently they're probably going to show that at the Guerrilla Collective Saturday, or is it Sunday? Yeah, Saturday. So cool. Then they're going to on that same day, there's going to be the Wholesome Direct stream. The Wholesome Direct stream is going to be, wholesome games like We Are OFK and Moonglow Bay, Ooblets and Bear and Breakfast. Games that, have a kind of inviting aesthetic, I guess would be the term. Trying to be nice. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
sounds like a round robin of interestingly odd games.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think one of them is Epic's.
Well, I think Epic has exclusivity, but I think it's made by a studio that's under Wholesome
Yeah,
Games.
you're right. It's just I was thinking that one of them is going to Epic. That's why I was thinking.
I mean, I'm not against Epic exclusivity if you're like an indie studio
No,
because
I
they
was
need the
saying that
money. But
I was just saying of which ones are going to Epic, which means you have to watch what they're doing.
yeah, I mean, if you're like that shit with 2K where they did like an Epic exclusivity for Borderlands 3, that was some bullshit. And that's why I
Yeah.
didn't buy that shit on the Epic Game Store. What were you gonna say, Kenoshi?
I was gonna say, well, it doesn't seem like they're showing. It doesn't seem like Coke is showing anything of noteworthy. So why are they even there?
I mean, they might show like Darksiders because that franchise has been quiet for a while. They might. I mean, like Deep Silver and THQ Nordic have a lot of IPs under their belt besides those, so you know they could still have some. They might show Shadow Warrior 3, which is coming out later on this year. It's supposed to come out last year, but it got pushed back due to COVID. That's what they're. That's the line they're saying. That's what they're sticking to. um, but next we get to the shittiest conference. I'm gonna call it now. The shittiest conference, aka Ubisoft. Um,
Um, where's the flush handle?
so Ubisoft says that they're going to show off more DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, some stuff for Far Cry 6, more stuff for Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six, which they used to call it Rainbow Six Quarantine, but now it's called Rainbow Six Extraction. Some people are saying, well, they might show Beyond Good and Evil 2. Bullshit. When Michelle Ancel left the company, that shit died. Okay, there is not going to be a Beyond Good and Evil 2. Put
Hear
that
that?
shit out of your mind.
That's the sound of a toilet flushing.
Yep. That's the sound of someone having explosive gassy diarrhea and then flushing the toilet.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that bad Taco Bell night.
Explosive gassy diarrhea and flushing the toilet and walking out of the bathroom without washing their hands. That is Ubisoft. That is the new description for Ubisoft as a company. They're also allegedly going to show upcoming updates for Honor, which, I mean, does anyone give a shit about that game? Trackmania, The Crew 2, Brawlhalla. I didn't know they published that. Oh well. Watch Dogs Legion.
The only thing that caught my attention was Brawlhalla.
Well, I like Brawlhalla because it's free to play and they have some interesting guest characters on there.
Yeah, but as I said, that's the only one that caught my ear.
Yeah. So that's it. Does anyone give a shit about Watch Dogs Legion? Does anyone care?
Not really.
Like that song from Chicago during their disco phase, their easy listening phase, where they say, does anybody know what time it is? Does anybody care? Does anybody care about any announcements that Ubisoft makes? Aside from Yves Guillemot coming out and saying, I fucked up, I'm sorry, I quit, someone else is taking the helm.
I think only the crickets care.
Yeah, if they're not making that announcement, then I don't think anyone gives a shit.
As I said, only the crickets are caring, and I don't know if they got sprayed or not.
Yeah. Next, we have the Devolver Digital Conference at 4:30 East Coast time.
If I remember right, Devolver Digital is usually a parody of what E3's going on.
Oh yeah, they totally know that E3 is just full of shit, and they totally call out the fact that E3 is full of shit, which is why I love the Devolver Digital Conference, because every year they're like, yeah, this is some bullshit, right? I mean, yeah, this is total and complete bullshit, right? And they make an entire thing calling out the bullshit that is E3, and I love it. And I wonder, look, they've had 18 months to plan out this one. They had like all of 2020 to plan out what bullshit they could say about this year's E3. So I'm looking forward to this one just for the entertainment value. I don't even care about the games handouts. I just want to see them talk shit about E3. That one where they talked about you could just throw your money into the computer for our games, and the dude's hand goes into the computer and gets cut off. I'm like, God damn! I want to see shit like that again because I like when companies call out bullshit like that, even if they're a part of it. It's still fun. You guys have any thoughts on Devolver Digital?
If anything, get the popcorn. It might be a fun show.
All right. Okay. Next, we have the Upload VR Showcase. Does anyone give a shit about the Upload VR Showcase?
To be honest with you, first time I heard of it.
Yeah. I'm so tired of people trying to push VR on people. Look, I don't want to wear shit on my face. I just don't. Any thoughts on that, Kenoshi, before we move on to the next topic?
They're having a VR conference just for VR stuff.
They're having a VR showcase just for VR shit.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised these companies are still making money. I guess people like this stuff.
Well, they're subsidized. You know, VR is being subsidized by big tech companies like Facebook and other certain companies because they want to make it into a thing. I just don't see it happening. Anyway, next is a conference that I didn't think I'd be interested in, but since all those acquisitions Microsoft did, I am kind of sorta. So, the Xbox Bethesda Game Showcase stream. Now, to be honest with you, I don't really give a shit about Bethesda's part of this conference because Bethesda hasn't been a good studio for years. The last good Elder Scrolls game that came out was Oblivion, in my opinion. Skyrim is fun if you mod the ever-loving shit out of it. But if there's a game that the only way it can be enjoyable is if you add a whole bunch of extra shit that was not meant to be in there, is that a good game? It's like you bought a sandwich from a sandwich shop, but then you had to add all this extra shit once you got home to it in order to make it palatable. Is that a good sandwich?
Not really.
I mean,
I was about to say sandwich went from an 8 to a 2.
No, I would say you have to reverse that. It started out as a 2, and then you put it to an 8, but you had to add a lot of extra shit to it. Like that, if you did that to a sandwich, you'd say this sandwich is basic as fuck. That's why I had to add all this shit to it to make it better.
Okay, you're right. It's just that if anything, you said that went from a glorious simple sandwich to a really complex and flavorless sandwich.
No. It's the exact. I mean, I think my original analogy was correct. If like Bethesda games, especially Skyrim and Fallout 4, are like a very basic sandwich that you add a whole bunch of shit to in order to make it palatable. But if you have a sandwich that's so basic that you have to add a whole bunch of shit to it once you bring it home to make it palatable, that is a basic as fuck sandwich.
In short, it's a 2 going to an 8 with a lot of assistance.
Exactly. I mean, that's the problem with Bethesda. Their games are very few Bethesda games stand on their own. Like, you have to add a whole bunch of shit to them in order to make them palatable. And I don't think that's going to change even though Microsoft bought them. So we'll probably see some shit from Bethesda at the Bethesda conference. They'll probably show off Starfield. They'll probably give a little bit of a longer teaser about Elder Scrolls 6. Really, I'll be honest with you. The only shit I'm interested in is seeing what Obsidian's been doing. Like, I want to see their Avowed game, which is basically going to be their take on Elder Scrolls. But the difference is that, you know, Obsidian's actually good at making RPGs. So versus Bethesda. So, like, I want to see what they can do once they have some real money behind them making those types of games. Plus, I mean, a lot of the talent that makes up Obsidian and what Obsidian used to be with Vigil Interactive, like, a lot of those people are under at Microsoft now. So, like, I want to see if, like, all that talent has been able to percolate amongst, you know, those different studios and create something good. You know, because I mean, hopefully we'll get one or two good games out of it before Microsoft inevitably fucks it up. Because, you know, that's what Microsoft does.
Eventually.
Eventually, yeah. I mean, we got 3 okay to good Fable games before Microsoft fucked it up with Fable: The Journey.
Yeah. So, if anything, a game that has its pause screen be a hub makes you wonder who the heck was on drugs when that happened.
Well, if you ever listen, I think you can look it up, like behind the development of Fable, The Journey. Lionhead did not want to make that game. They wanted to make it Fable 4, and Microsoft saw that the Kinect was failing, and they forced them to make that game. Because Lionhead actually was doing their job. Each installment of Fable sold more than the last installment. I think the first Fable sold 1 million, which is not bad for a new IP. Fable 2 sold like 1.5, 1.6. Fable 3 sold like 2.3, 2.4. So it was an upward trajectory. And then they made Fable: The Journey. And the franchise just went to shit.
I was about to say, it went like a failed rocket launch.
It fizzled and blew up. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I blame Microsoft for that, because no one was asking for a Fable game on the Kinect. Like, no one wants to fucking play a semi-hardcore single-player RPG with fucking motion control. I'm sorry. Like, no one wants to do that. When people play RPGs, they want to sit down in their chair, sit back, and if they're playing on PC, they want to be in their nice chair with their mouse and keyboard. If they're playing in front of a console, they want to sit back with the controller in their fucking hands. Okay? That's it. They don't want to be doing a lot of shit when they're playing RPG.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of another game that got ruined by the Kinect. The Sonic Riders series.
Yeah, don't get me started on that bullshit. Anyway, but here's what else Microsoft may be showing. A Fable game.
They actually are going to show a Fable game.
Yeah, but it's not from Lionhead, because Lionhead doesn't exist anymore. It's from some people who made fucking racing games. Because, you know, when you think of a studio that can hold down a single-player RPG, I think racing. I'm being facetious, by the way.
I was about to say that. Why do I have a feeling that this is going to end up as awkward as having a family reunion?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm definitely kind of how can I put this? I am very hesitant to actually think this is going to be good, because I just don't trust certain
Microsoft?
studios. I don't trust certain studios to make certain things. And I know some people are gonna get mad, but I don't trust certain studios to make certain things. I'm like that. I'm very hesitant to trust new ideas, especially new studios when they haven't proven themselves. And just because Playgrounds makes fucking racing games doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna make a good RPG. Because, you know, when you think you know, RPGs and the other thing are not the same thing. They're two completely different things. Also, some studio called The Initiative is apparently making a Perfect Dark game, but does anyone trust? Does anyone trust? Does anyone trust Microsoft with Perfect Dark? Seriously?
After Perfect Dark Zero, I don't think anybody does.
I mean, I damn sure don't trust them. It's like, oh, we're gonna make a Perfect Dark.
I trust them as much as I
Yeah.
trust the people at Ubisoft.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but it's very hard for me to trust Microsoft when it comes to rare IPs because they have managed to fuck up every single legacy rare IP that they've had. They've managed to fuck up. So, if every time someone has had a chance with a legacy IP and they fucked it up, like, why would you trust them with that? I mean, it's the equivalent of having a kid in your house, like leaving your kid home, and every time you left them home, they had a party and fucked up your house. Like, after a certain point, would you trust them to watch your house while you're gone?
I'd rather have a babysitter if that keeps going on.
You'd be like, no, I'm not gonna just let you stay in my house while I'm gone. You're coming with me, but you're going to a shitty ass conference. Yeah, but my house isn't gonna be tore up when I get back,
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Here's the Game Boy. This will keep you busy for a couple hours.
Well, let's be honest. Most of the time, the kids who were friggin'
Wild.
having parties and shit, they're a little past the age for a Game Boy. But I mean, like, once you get to a certain age, like, why are you partying in your parents' house?
Yeah.
People fucking up your parents' shit. It's not like listen, this is not your house. This is your parents' house, which means everything in there, it's just
Belongs to them.
belongs to them. Anyway, next, went off on a tangent there. I don't know why. Square Enix presents. So basically, people believe that there's a world premiere, is headlined with a world premiere for the next game from Eidos Montreal. Some people believe that this is going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy game from Eidos Montreal. I don't know if that's true, considering how Square Enix fucked up the Marvel's Avengers. I'm not really all,
Your enthusiasm is in the basement.
I wouldn't say that I'm a quiver. I wouldn't say that I'm exactly awash with confidence that they would do well by a Guardians of the Galaxy game.
As I said, your confidence is in the basement.
I mean, my confidence is below the basement. My confidence is in the mantle of the earth. Maybe into the core. Maybe close to the core.
Dang.
I don't know how you could fuck up something as simple as an Avengers video game, but Square Enix managed to do it.
Somehow, some way, it happened.
Somehow, some way, they managed to fuck something that should have been an easy slam dunk. Fucked it up. I don't know how, but they did it. But anyway, so allegedly they're going to be showing off a Guardians of the Galaxy game. They also are allegedly showing off the expansion for Black Panther for Marvel's Avengers. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't see this shit happening. Unless Square Enix manages to bring Chadwick Boseman back to life.
Which would be a miracle in itself.
Would be a miracle. Look, if they brought Chadwick Boseman back to life, then I would say I would be impressed with Marvel's Avengers. But until that happens, and that's not going to happen, you could color me unimpressed with that game. Next, there are gonna apparently be updates for Babylon's Fall. I don't know anything about Babylon's Fall other than I think it's being made by Platinum. Uh, I think, yeah, it's being made by Platinum. Um, and it looks like a Platinum game, but it's a Platinum game being published by Square Enix. So, I mean, I don't
that
know.
as you will.
Thing is, normally I would say this would mean that it would have some RPG chops, but Square Enix hasn't made a good RPG in years.
Unless you count the games that are made by other parts of their group.
I mean, proper Square Enix. Like, there's been shit that's been made by other studios, but Square Enix proper, Square Enix themselves, they haven't made a good JRPG in years. And I would say even Dragon Quest IX isn't great. It's good. It's not like it's not Dragon Quest 8 great or Dragon Quest 9 great. They're also doing a Life is Strange True Colors and a Life is Strange Remastered collection. So remasters of old shit that if you really cared about it, you already own. Great, I guess. Anyone have anything they hope to see at Square Enix's conference?
If Square Enix manages to somehow get a true RPG out, I'm going to be watching it and hoping it flipping succeeds.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it succeed. I would love for Square Enix to succeed, but ever since Squaresoft merged with Enix, they've just been failing in the RPG department. So
They're
Yeah.
practically the only game in town.
yeah, there's no competition, and they bought except for Atlas, all of the competing RPG franchises that kind of kept them honest are gone now or under Square Enix's banner. So I mean, there's no competition, so they have no reason to do better. Like, zero reason to do better.
I would say the moment that competition actually arrives, then I'm going to be interested in seeing how much they sweat.
Well, I mean, okay, back in the day before Squaresoft and Enix merged, right? If you wanted a JRPG, you had Atlas with publishing shit like Lufia. You had Capcom with Breath of Fire. You had Falcom with the East series and their other games. You had other avenues for JRPGs. Now in Japan, because you had Ogre Battle, you had other avenues to play RPGs. Now almost like 70% of the RPG franchises that used to be under other banners are under Square Enix. So it's not like you can say, well, Final Fantasy's been shit. Dragon Quest is kind of lackluster these days. But hey, I can go play Lufia. I can go play Ogre Battle. I can go play this over here. No, no.
I was saying I hope that a new company comes up to go for the RPGs.
I mean, the only other company that kind of does RPGs is Atlas, and I mean, you get maybe one Persona and one Shin Megami Tensei every console generation.
And here I thought that somebody would forget about Level 5.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Level 5, when they were contracted out to Square Enix, like, Dragon Quest VIII was made by Level 5. Like, they did the hard work, and Level 5 made some damn good RPGs. Like, I will take this to my grave. Rogue Galaxy is one of the best 6th gen RPGs, action RPGs of the 6th gen. I would put it above Final Fantasy 12. I would put it above Final Fantasy 10. because the game tells a kind of a cliche story, but the characters and the voice acting, that's one of the few games with voice acting that I actually enjoy the voice acting.
Which is kind of interesting.
Because normally I hate voice acting, but the voice acting works in the voice acting works
in that RPG.
In that RPG, yeah. Like I don't know what happened to Level 5, but man, there was a time where they made some damn good RPGs. Hell, even Ni no Kuni is really good. Ni no Kuni felt like a long lost Dragon Quest game. And then when they went off and they're like, we're gonna make our own Pokemon, I'm like, don't do that. Don't be like Pokemon. Pokemon sucks these days. Pokemon hasn't been good since Gen 3.
Gen 6 was the last quality that they had left.
Let me put it this way. I'm not arguing, like, okay, let me put it this way. But at least with Gen 3, they were still trying different shit. Like, now, Pokemon doesn't do shit that's new. Everything is just the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, I was trying to say that Gen 6 was the last shot of effort I ever saw them have.
Those lazy bastards. Anyway, so next, also Sunday, we have the PC Gaming Show.
And this is where you and Kanoshi can fangasm.
Well, I mean, allegedly they're going to be showing Dying Light 2, Stay Human. They're going to be showing big news for the Orcs Must Die series. They're going to be showing New Humankind game, New Humankind and Chivalry 2 announcements. And rather cryptically, apparently a message from Valve regarding Steam. I hope it's going to be a message that says you can actually use your Steam points to buy other Steam games. Because I have a ton of Steam points that I'm not using for shit.
They're probably not going to do that.
If they were smart, they would. I mean,
they can definitely use it to buy older stuff, but...
No, not new stuff, but old stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
At least 2 years old.
I mean, I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say, like, hey, for shit that just came out, okay, you can't use... Maybe you can use your Steam points to get, like, a 10% or 15% or 20% coupon.
Discount.
But for old shit, yeah, you should be able to use your Steam points. Because otherwise than that, like, oh, well, you can get an avatar. I don't give a shit about a Steam avatar. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, you don't need a PFP icon. You want something tangible. You want something that you could control.
No, I just
they don't have a very good rewards program.
Well, I mean, when Steam does give you those coupons, they're nice. Once or twice a year, but it's just like it could be better. I mean, like basically Steam's online in terms of the rewards they give you right now is on par with Nintendo's online in terms of the rewards they give you. They're both kind of lackluster and could be a lot better. Could be so much better. But anyway, so yeah, apparently there's going to be some type of message from Valve regarding Steam. I don't know what it's going to be. I hope it's some interesting news and not just some bullshit. But with that being said, last year they told people that Persona 4 Golden was coming to PC, Ooblett's early release early access date, the Shadow Man remaster, which they shouldn't have showed that at the PC Gaming Show because it looked like shit. Now, I have the game. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty good. But it looked terrible when they showed it last year. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. It looked bad. It's like, this, I wouldn't have shown that. You know, they say best foot forward. That was not the best foot forward. That was like the back foot or some shit. I don't know. But anyway. And a sci-fi survival game called Icarus, which, I mean, whatever. Next, we have the Future Game Show, also Sunday. It's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. West Coast time, or Pacific time, or whatever. So last year they showed Dreamfall Dev's new game Dustborn, and Bomber Crew getting Space Crew, and Serial Cleaner sequel. So I don't know what they're going to show this time. They tend to be more indie focused in future games, so maybe it'll be some. Maybe we'll get another Space Crew, some Space Crew DLC, because Bomber Crew kind of sucks, but Space Crew is kind of fun.
I could hope.
Yeah. Monday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Capcom. Capcom.
And I was about to say, where's the Shoryukens? And
I guarantee, I guarantee, I'm a psychic. I guarantee they will announce something involving Mega Man and Street Fighter.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm a psychic. I can see the
I was
future.
gonna make the joke. I was gonna make the joke that they already sacked Mega Man a little bit.
There will be another. I predict that there will be another re-release of Street Fighter V.
If they do that, I can hear the salt.
No, they'll buy it because people like that game. I don't know why. It's kind of.
I was gonna make the joke that it's gonna be like the Street Fighter 2 troubles that happened on the SNES series.
Yeah, but Street Fighter 2 is good. Like Street Fighter 2, when it came out on a cartridge, on a small little 16 megabit cartridge, had more content than Street Fighter 5 at launch. Street Fighter 2 had a story mode, multiplayer, training mode. How the fuck could a 16-bit game have more content than a 8th gen game? I'll never understand.
I was gonna make the joke that you forgot one more thing. Characters.
No, I think they had about the same amount of characters. Because remember, Street Fighter 2 originally only had 8 characters. Because you couldn't play as the boss characters. You had Ryu, Ken, Guile, E Honda, Dhalsim, Chun-Li, and Zangief. And I'm missing one more. Blanca. That was it. So you only had 8 characters. So I think they had more characters than Street Fighter V. But it didn't have a single-player story mode. It didn't have... The music was trash. I think the music still is pretty bad in Street Fighter V. I don't think it's very good.
I was at least hoping that... I was thinking that Street Fighter V had less characters to work with than Street Fighter 2.
I don't think it did. Kenoshi. Street Fighter V at launch had more than 8 characters, didn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
They had so a lot of most of the originals and a couple newcomers, like 2 or 3 newcomers.
Now I'm pretty sure at launch. Okay, at launch it had Birdie, Chun-Li, Fang, Ken, M. Bison. Yeah, it had more characters than Street Fighter 2. But that's all you had. You didn't have multiplayer. All you had was multiplayer when it first launched. It didn't have a story mode. It didn't have a training mode. Well, did it have training mode? Yeah, I think it had training mode. Just a lot of shit just missing. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I think. In reality, Capcom has already confirmed four games they're going to talk about: The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Monster Hunter Rise, and Resident Evil Village. So they're probably going to do some Resident Evil Village DLC. I guarantee the DLC is going to have Leon in it, probably.
Oh God.
And I bet it's what it's going to be. Leon's going to show up, and Lady Dimitrescu is going to look at him and be like, "I was going to kill you, But now I'm gonna drag you back to my bedroom and fuck you to death. Cause you pretty, Leon. You pretty. And he's gonna be like, this I do for my country.
The sacrifices one makes for their country.
When the president's daughter tried to offer me up some in Resident Evil 4, I turned it down. But you, I'll do it for the country. Pretty ass Leon Kennedy. Of course, I'm being facetious. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I don't know what the DLC is going to be. But, you know, does anyone have anything they wish Capcom would announce?
Probably should prepare themselves for that lawsuit that's going to wreck them in the next few.
What lawsuit?
Did you guys hear about the lawsuit? Oh, about the pictures, some of the graphical pictures that they were using for Resident Evil 4 and some of their other games. Apparently, they were like artistic pictures that were copywritten, and they illegally used those pictures. So they're gonna get
they're gonna get their asshole suit out.
Yeah.
For me, I'm
surprised
actually
you guys
curious
didn't hear about that.
I did not hear about that.
News. Yeah.
Well, I don't really listen to Capcom news very often. I know that's terrible, but I don't.
Yeah. For me, I'm actually curious if they'll re-release some of their older fighting games to more modern hardware.
Shit like Red Earth. Project Justice, Codename Viper, stuff like that.
Yeah, and Red Earth, because if anything, Red Earth is the only single-player fighting game that really has a story to really get yourself sunk into.
Yeah, plus it was cool. Red Earth was very, very cool. Like, way cooler than it had any business being.
Yeah, it's a RPG fighting game.
Yeah. Plus it had some really cool character models. Like, you did not see that shit coming. Anyway, I heard that they're working on a new Final Fight. I hope they bring that shit up.
If that's true, you know that Cody and the mayor are going to be in there to rock some skulls.
I hope if they are doing this, I hope that if it's true, what I'm saying, if it's true, I hope that they use the 16-bit cell, the 16-bit art style, and not try and make the shit look like those cheap ass 2D, 2.5D side-scrolling beat 'em ups that they have on Steam that are like, this is inspired by Final Fight. This shit
looks like
cheap
Double
as
Dragon
fuck.
Neo?
No. Like there's some shit that they'll put here that's just like, this is so cheap looking. This looks terrible. I hate it. It's like a beat 'em up and it just looks cheap as fuck. Like real just ugh. Like real bad. Like real cheap. Raging Justice. Oh, that looks bad. Oh, God, that art style. Ugh.
Is that a new game?
No, it's been out for a while, but it just looks terrible. The art style is just trash. I'll link the store page and you guys can look at it. Raging Justice. Let me copy page URL. Looks like shit. That's all I'm saying. It looks terrible. So yeah, I hope that if they are doing a new Final Fight, they don't go with 3D graphics. I hope they stick with like the cel shaded look of previous installments.
Yeah.
Because not everything fucking needs to be 3D. Okay. The only way I would want to play a Final Fight game that's in 3D with realistic looking characters is if they get Sega to make it using the Yakuza engine from the beat 'em ups. If they do that, then it makes sense. Okay, I'll roll with it. But if it's just some cheap ass shit like they did with Final Fight Streetwise, fuck it. I don't want to be bothered with it. Next, we have Nintendo Direct on Tuesday, June 15th. Basically, Nintendo's going to focus exclusively on Nintendo Switch software, meaning it's not going to show their new console, which is expected to be revealed before E3 arrives, which, if they're going to show that shit, they've got, like 4 or 5 days.
Nah, they're not going to show it.
No.
They're not. It's not. I don't think it's real at this point.
I think they're just fucking with people. They're probably letting out shit just so they can see who's leaking, so they can fire their asses.
Well, that's one way to find a leak.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that shit. Next, apparently people think they're gonna show Metroid Prime shit. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be Breath of the Wild 2. It's probably gonna be a lot of Breath of the Wild 2. I think Breath of the Wild 2 is gonna be Nintendo's big game for this year. It's gonna be Breath of the Wild 2.
If it is, I'm gonna be groaning. I mean, I'm not a 3D Zelda fan. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I like both styles of Legend of Zelda games. I like the 2D ones. I like the 3D ones. I just don't really like Breath of the Wild. That is the only 3D. Well, no, that and Skyward Sword. I never really gave a shit about either of those games all that much. So I'm not exactly what I would call
enthused.
I'm not all a quiver over Breath of the Wild 2. Unless they're going to add a whole bunch of shit that was missing in Breath of the Wild 1, then I really am not all ecstatic with joy over Breath of the Wild 2. But, they're probably going to show some other shit, too. We might get a new custom Robo, probably a new Kirby game.
Say we'll likely get a Kirby game than custom Robo.
Not custom Robo, Chibi Robo. Sorry, Chibi Robo. I would love another custom Robo. I would love another custom Robo, but it's Nintendo, and you know how they are. Nintendo's sitting on a ton of IPs that they ain't doing shit with, and won't license them out to people to do something with them. So whatever.
They might ruin our IP.
It's like, yeah, okay, yeah. If you're sitting on an IP that's sitting dormant and no one's doing anything with it, it's not being ruined, but it's also just not doing anything. It's like, would you rather have
like a museum piece?
It's not even a museum piece because it's not like they're even showing it off or just saying, hey, this used to be a franchise. They're just sitting on it. It's just sitting there, just not doing anything. It's like, would you rather take money and just stick it under your bed or put it in a bank where it can accrue interest and you can get money off of it? Or take that money and put it in stocks, like a general stock fund where it's guaranteed to make money? Or just stick it under your bed where it's not going to accrue interest, it's not going to become more valuable, it's just there. And that's basically Nintendo. Well, it's there, we got it, it's there. It's like, okay, well, do something with it. No. Anyway, after that, they're going to have a 3-hour, 3-hour Treehouse event. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I will not be watching the Treehouse event live. I'm taking my ass to bed. But for those of you...
that for me, it's not too bad because, if anything, it's in the middle of the day.
No, it's 10 p.m. It starts at 10 p.m.
Oh.
Eastern Standard Time.
In that case, that is a little bit pressured.
Wait.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was AM that they usually start.
I might watch the Direct, but there's no way on God's green earth I'm watching the Direct. The Treehouse. Now, West Coast, it's 9 a.m., which is perfect for the West Coast, but fuck, I live on the East Coast, so whatever. Um, finally, we get the Bandai Namco stream, which they're going to show off some games that people have really been looking forward to, like the new Tales game, Tales of Arise. I actually am looking forward to that game. I like Tales games. So Scarlet Nexus, I'll probably get that too because I am a Tales fan. I mean, like the thing is, I like Namco Bandai. Sorry, Bandai Namco, but they do some really fucked up shit sometimes. But I like them for some odd reason. But anyway, yeah. So they're probably going to show that shit off. They might show a new. I'm guessing they'll probably show a new arcade collection that they can nickel and dime people for. We might get. I mean, if Namco Bandai is cool, come on, man, let's get a new Soul Calibur. Come on, show that shit off.
Yeah. Nah, and don't try to screw up the timeline of the entire series again.
Now, recently, I heard from a little bird that Bandai Namco did a deal with Nintendo to either re-release or make a new installment in one of my favorite underrated JRPGs of the 6th gen, Baten Kaitos. If they announce Baten Kaitos 3 or Baten Kaitos Collection, Baten Kaitos coming to PC, whatever, I'm gonna have a nerdgasm because I love Baten Kaitos.
Well, yeah.
If they do Baten Kaitos 3, I'm really going to have a nerdgasm because as long as Baten Kaitos, or actually it would be Baten Kaitos 2 because Baten Kaitos Origins is a prequel. So Baten Kaitos 2. If they announce Baten Kaitos 2, I'd be down with that. Totally down with that. No problem whatsoever. A card battle RPG, I'm down. I'm down. A card battle RPG based off of the rules of 5-card draw, or basic poker. I'm down. I'm down. Anyway, but there's some other news that's coming out from Bandai Namco. There's Elden Ring, which is coming from Software and George R.R. Martin, and they haven't said shit about it since last year. So, people are really looking forward to this game. The last conference is going to be EA's Play Conference on Thursday, July 22nd. But does anyone give a shit about anything EA has to say about anything? For real?
The only way I say that we might care is if they get rid of their Ultimate Team. And I don't think they'll be one to do that.
Good luck with that.
I mean, that's as likely as somebody trying to get your foot off your body. You probably kick their rear end with that foot too.
Thing is, I don't like. Thing is, I don't really like. The thing is, I don't really like. I don't like EA, but they have certain IPs under their auspices that I do like. Like, I like The Sims. I like SimCity, even though Maxis and EA have fucked up that franchise to God be damn. I like Mass Effect. I like Dragon Age, even though BioWare has fucked that franchise up. I like Plants vs. Zombies, the original. I like that game. even though they fucked it up. Like there's so many IPs that are under EA that I like. Like I would love a re-release of Simpsons Hit and Run. Because that game was basically Simpsons GTA. But with better platforming. So, yeah. I want to, I'm not like I'm not anti EA. I just want them to be better. But that's not going to happen because it's EA.
Huh.
because it's EA and EA can't be better.
I was gonna say, considering EA with how they act, I might as well watch a soccer game at this point. At least that'll be more entertaining than paying EA to playing their microtransactions BS.
I mean, I said it before the cast began. I'm not against microtransactions. I'm against.
I'm against microtransactions that EA pulls off.
I'm against predatory microtransactions. Like if I buy a game for $60, there's no legitimate way that you can tell me, oh, and guess what? You need to pay microtransactions for this game. No. That's ridiculous. But that's the world we live in. But, that's how it is. Oh, well. So, with that being said, those are all the conferences and our predictions. So, with that being said, where do we go? Where do we go from here? You guys want to do the unpopular opinions?
Well, one more thing about E3, and that is, I want either this to be the greatest E3 this year or a massive shit show.
A dumpster fire.
Yeah.
You want a dumpster fire with dirty diapers that have been in the sun for like 5 days in 100+ degree weather for each of those days, where the diapers just stink to all but damned, and someone lit a match and put it in there, but they didn't just put the match in there. They put some old doggy doo doo in there in a bag. Like that's what you want E3 to be.
Yeah, either that, or it has to be the greatest thing ever. It either has to be a massive shit show,
or great,
or great. That's my standard for E3.
That's very limited. For me, I take it show by show. And for me, I at least say it's worthy of getting some popcorn. Because, if anything, you'll be entertained.
Well, this year I'm not going to be watching E3. I'll probably watch the Nintendo conference, the Microsoft conference, mostly because that's also going to be like all those games are coming to PC, the PC conference, and Devolver Digital for entertainment. For people who say E3 is not entertaining, watch all of the Devolver Digital conferences for E3. They are hilarious.
As I said, if anything, it depends on the shows that you watch. And for me, I'm getting the popcorn, because some of them are pretty entertaining.
Because Devolver Digital just does not give a fuck. They're like, this is some bullshit, and we know it, and you know it, and we're gonna roll with the fact that this is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. So with that being said, okay, can we get to
Should we?
unpopular opinions?
I think we could do it.
All right, who wants to go first? An unpopular opinion. It can be regarding E3. It can be a general unpopular opinion.
I'm gonna go into a double, which is kind of rare for me.
All right.
My first one is going to be for basic criticisms of games and certain medias. If somebody is still ragging about something like how I would rag on Pokemon, or how somebody might rag about the sequel trilogy, it's because we still hold that opinion that it is trash, and if we talk about how it is trash, yeah again, it's because we still think that it is that state. As for my other popular opinion, music is a good thing, but if anything, I consider voice acting in some things to be optional.
I can agree. Kenoshi, you have any unpopular opinions you want to share before we wrap things up?
Nah, nothing. Nothing on the chopping block this week.
All right. I got a three-peat of unpopular opinions. The first one is not video game related; it's life related, and I'm just gonna say it. We have cratered into out of spring and into summer, which means people are starting to wear shit that's summery. But I have something to tell these people. Not
Know your
everyone,
body type.
not everyone can wear everything in summer. If your ass is so big, if your ass is so big that two fat ass people, if they put like two large people put their asses together and it still wouldn't equal one of your ass cheeks, don't wear tight ass pants. Please. Now, the reason I say this is because I went to a fish place near me because it was like Saturday. It was Thursday, and I didn't feel like cooking. I was like, you know what? I don't feel like cooking. I'm gonna go to this fish place, and it's called Scrimp Shack. So that tells you the level of fish place this is. But I went into Scrimp Shack, and there were two ladies there, both of which were overweight.
Don't tell me it was dang.
It started with a D, but I didn't censor myself. And so one of them was obese. The other one was, well, from the waist up, she looked normal, but from the waist down, just like, God damn, that's a whole lot of ass. and so like and they had a whole bunch of kids with them too, and I'm like, y'all have no business with, like, for as much as you people weigh, you shouldn't be eating fast food.
As I said,
ever.
Yeah, as I said, the look that you saw with those two, it made you think, dang.
Well, I mean, the one who was just overweight was like normal size overweight for a black lady, but the other one was just like all the weight went to her ass. Just everything went to her ass. Like every time she walked around, I was like, I feel like I should be in that scene from Jurassic Park where Ian Malcolm's hitting on Ellie Sadler, and you hear the T-Rex boom. Boom.
Yeah, my mind just realized it, and thank you very much.
Like, that's what it felt like every time this lady was walking around, and like they were getting tons and tons of food, like tons, like way more food. Like, I'm like, God damn, you fat ass motherfuckers don't need to be eating in here.
Are you guys planning a party?
But here's the thing.
You need that.
I'm gonna go off into a tangent here, but it needs to be said. Haven't you ever noticed that the people who are overeating at restaurants are motherfuckers who shouldn't be in there in the first place. Like some big, humongous, giganosaurus, brontosaurus looking motherfucker is in there eating way more food than they have any business eating. And then they had a nerve. These are the same big ass motherfuckers who like to talk about how they're on specialized diets. Well, I can't eat that. Look at your fat ass. You eat everything you can catch up with, you big motherfucker. But I don't say that because that would be rude. But in my head, I'm definitely thinking it.
Yeah, the word that I use is probably the best description.
Now, I will be fair. I am a large man myself. But the only part of my body that's huge is my stomach. The rest of me, pretty much normal sized. Okay? Now, you know, that comes from years of not being as physically active as I used to, and just eating heavily, like eating late at night and going to sleep on it instead of just, like not eating late. Well, I mean, really, you should eat dinner around no later than 7 o'clock. Because if you eat later, you're gonna get your body starts
Holding it.
Well, your body starts winding down for the day, and your normal metabolism slows down because you're about to go to sleep. And whatever calories you would have burned just aren't being burned. So, that's how you put on the weight. But anyway, my first one is, look, it's summer. Stop wearing shit that you should not be wearing. Okay? And when I say you, for some reason, this hits women a lot more than men. Although there are men who wear shit. It's like I went to FedEx to drop off a package and to fax something because my home fax machine wasn't working. And this Italian dude came in and he was wearing a shirt that he could barely fit over his stomach and some tight ass pants with like 2 ounces of crack showing. Like he would have went to jail for trying to smoke a crack. And I'm like, dude, you don't need to be wearing that. Like in my head, I'm like, you should not be wearing this. You should be wearing something bigger that fits better. Okay?
I'm sorry, you're making me laugh hard here.
And I guess he was going for that European look, but the European look works when you have the body to fit with it. Like if you're really svelte and in shape like almost metrosexual thin for a man, you can wear the tight ass pants and with your belly showing. But here's the thing, dude, when you're a middle-aged guy who's balding and kind of pot-bellied, trying to pull off that same look. I mean, I know that shit may have worked for you 20 years ago, but that was 20 years ago, bro. 20 years. Okay. Anyway, that's my first unpopular opinion. My second unpopular opinion is about video games in general. I am fucking tired of people talking about VR. I'm tired of it. It's old. I'm tired of, hey man, VR is the future. Motherfucker VR, okay? VR is not the future, okay? At least not the immediate future. Will we eventually have virtual reality as a major thing? Yeah, in about 15, 20 years. Not now. Just like eventually we'll have cloud-based gaming in about 15 to 20, actually 20 to 25 years. Not now. Eventually, like Andrew Wilson said from EA, we'll eventually have games as a service. But it's not going to happen for like 20 years. And by that time, I'll be 55. I don't even think I'll be playing video games at that point. So, I won't really give a shit. But, my point behind all this is to say this. Stop trying to push shit into being a thing when it clearly isn't. Okay? The industry is like those kids you went to high school with who were trying to turn something to a catchphrase and make it cool, and were trying too damn hard. Stop it. You're like Google with their Stadia. You're trying too hard. My last unpopular opinion is about gaming in general. Just because people like certain just because and this goes to all of them, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. I don't like seeing any of these companies get a run on in the business competition, because then they get very complacent and lazy. All right. And since Nintendo's been there the longest, we can use them as an example because it's really easy to see where they got complacent. During the Nintendo, the original NES, the Famicom, Nintendo had a run. Everyone who ran up against them got their ass kicked. They got lazy and complacent. Then Sega came in '89 with the Sega Genesis and began to kick their ass. And Nintendo's like, look, we got to wake up, stop being lazy and complacent. Came out with the Super Nintendo, and they got with it, okay? The N64 struggled, but we got some great fucking games out of it. The GameCube struggled, but we got some great games out of it. The Wii kicked everyone's ass, was just dropping bombs on people. Nintendo got lazy and complacent again. Especially the last, I would say the last 30% of the Wii's life cycle, Nintendo got real fucking lazy. Real lazy. I wouldn't say lazy. Complacent. They got very complacent. Okay? So much so it affected their new console, the Wii U. Now, believe it or not, once Nintendo got over their complacency, the Wii U was a great console if you liked Nintendo consoles. Great. The problem is that only about 10% of the people who had Wiis stayed on for a Wii U. That casual audience jumped ship to the PS4 and mostly the PS4, or they were just happy with the Wii. They were just perfectly happy with the Wii. So, getting complacent, Nintendo kind of fucked up a little bit. Now with the Switch, Nintendo initially has been kicking a lot of ass. Now over the last 2 years, they've been getting a little complacent. Now hopefully, this is just them being quiet. But we've seen the same thing with Sony. The PS1 comes out. In the beginning of the PS1's life cycle, Sony's firing on all cylinders, a lot of great games coming out. Then towards the middle and the end, Sony gets real complacent. The PS2 launches, Sony still complacent, but has a lot of third-party support to carry them through. The PS3, Sony could not be touched going into the PS3. They're like, we can do whatever the fuck we want, and if you don't like it, kiss our asses. And people said, I think not, sir. I'll go play the Xbox and the Wii. The Xbox 360 and the Wii. Which is what they did. And Sony had to learn to be humble. Now the PS4 comes out and Sony got arrogant again. My point is this. These companies need to be held to task. You cannot and should not expect them to always stay the same and always appreciate your money. Sometimes you got to punch a motherfucker in the balls and let them know that they shouldn't take you for granted. So with that being said, my third and final unpopular opinion is this. Hold these companies accountable all the time. Not just when they're doing right. When they're doing right, congratulate them. But when they're fucking up, call them out on it. Because if you start letting them slide on little shit, they think they can get away with big shit too. So that being said, those are my 3 unpopular opinions. That's the end of this podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe, and
hype responsibly, because the hype train's almost here.
Yep, it's almost here. Good night, peace, stay safe, and if you're someplace with